August 25th, 2020 meeting of the Acushnet Public Library Board of Trustees. We are being audio taped and videotaped, and we do have a quorum. The first order of business is the Secretary's report from July 28th. Does anyone have any clarifications or questions?
Nope.
Okay, then we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is the budget.
So this is through yesterday, so through August 24th. That's the snapshot you're looking at. And so we're 2 months into the fiscal year already, and we're on target across the board, I think, as you can see. We've had a few pay periods now. We've had 2 Eversource bills, so that's for the energy line. Doing a lot of buying of material to lend, so you're seeing that we're spending out that material line. A little faster than usual, perhaps, but we're on track with that. For a total of 19.9% spent out to date. Does anyone have any questions about the budget?
I don't have any questions. It looks good.
Okay.
We need a motion.
I move we accept the budget.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Moving right along, we have old business. We have the Pergola first.
Yeah. So I don't know if, I know a lot of you have been by, I'm not sure if everyone's been by the library yet or not. The Pergola is complete. So if you haven't been by, you can drive by to take a look. It looks great.
Looks very good.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
It looks very nice.
Yeah, they did a great job. So now Jim Merritt and I are just reviewing options for how to hang this umbrella fabric or another kind of fabric so that we really get some good sun coverage there. Because as it stands right now, there's really only coverage in the morning or in the evening. There isn't any coverage, you know, in the middle of the day, unless you're a very small person. So, like really small. So we're moving along with it, and I hope at the next meeting I'll be able to update you a little bit more on what will happen with that.
Are you going to hang, when you make the cover, are you going to hang it over the end of it? The side towards the street.
That's the hope, is to be able to have it hang somewhat, so that's providing shade.
Yeah, when the sun sets, it's really bad out there.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm well aware of that. So that is the hope, is to have something that would maybe not stay down all of the time, but something that we could adjust and lower as the sun is setting if people are out on the deck.
Okay.
But that's all I have for an update on that as of right now.
The next old business is the phased reopening plan.
As of right now, we are still just continuing with takeout service, and I'm hoping to discuss some more ideas with you at the next meeting. But for now, we've got our takeout. As of today, we've circulated over 3,700 items through the takeout service. So that's, I think, shows it's been quite successful, and I think people are enjoying having that as an option. I'm meeting again this week with area library directors to discuss plans throughout, not just the network, but in the immediate area for other libraries. as we've talked about before, there's certainly a lot to think about in evaluating what option will work best for us in terms of opening the building. But for now, we're as is.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on the pergola or the reopening at this time?
I just wondered if she'd heard anything from Middleborough. I think they opened last week. I wondered any feedback.
Middleborough's actually been open for about a month. Lakeville opened last week. I'm not sure if that's
Okay. No, it was Middleborough that I read someplace.
Yeah. I've been in touch with. The directors have been meeting weekly for quite a while, so we've all been in touch with what each other is doing. But I think an important thing to keep in mind is Middleborough has about double our staff, and they're able to team up, break their staff into teams in order to reopen. So for a library like us, we really can't do that. We don't have enough coverage to be able to do that.
Yeah. I wondered if they had any problems when they reopened, because it was early.
Yeah, no, they haven't had any issues. None of the libraries in the network have reported any issues with reopening, but everyone is doing it very differently. There are some libraries that are, making patrons take their temperatures when they come in. There are some libraries that are making patrons fill out a form when they come in for contact tracing. Everyone's got their own sort of way of doing it, and there have been no problems. I think one of the biggest issues is just having enough staff coverage to be able to have staff safely spread out in the building, and then limiting the amount of contact they're having with the public. So I think that's one issue that's been reported. But bigger libraries, multi-floor libraries like Middleborough, have room to spread out staff, whereas one-floor libraries like us don't have as much room to spread out the staff, and also don't have enough staff to break into teams.
Okay. What was the takeout number as of
it's over 3,700. I think it's 3,767 as of today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? If not, we'll move on to new business. Okay, we have the first of two annual reports, the ARIS and the statistics.
So the ARIS report is the statistic version of the two reports that we turn into the state. The other one is a financial report. So for ARIS, that's the one that focuses on staffing levels, as well as our collection holdings and our circulation and our services. So of course we knew that there would be a drop in circulation and service numbers this year due to COVID-19, considering that, everything stopped for about 2 months, or close to 3 months by the time we got takeout going. So that didn't give us much of a chance to, meet or exceed last year's numbers, but we were definitely on track to meet or exceed last year's numbers, which I think, speaks very highly to what we do here. The adult circulation, by the end of March, the total circulation was by mid-March rather, was at about 10,000, less than what it had been in the previous year. So I think for sure, if we had been circulating throughout all of March, April, May, and June, we would have definitely hit last year's number for adult circulation. Young adult circulation was only off by about 600 units, so we for sure would have matched young adult circulation from the previous fiscal year. And children's circulation was only off by about 4,000. So we definitely would have surpassed FY19's circulation numbers in the children's collection. I think we would have done it everywhere, but we for sure would have surpassed it, I think, by quite a bit. We know how much the community uses the library, but I think this goes to show how much families in the community are using the library. And it's sort of bittersweet to see that we were that close. You know, it's like, oh, what would have been if we hadn't hadn't closed for a few months. The June circulation that we did through takeout does not count on this report, because as of right now, the state is not allowing us to count takeout in our circulation, which is strange to a lot of people because it's the same service. We're still circulating material. We're hoping that they revise that, but as of right now, that's where it stands. So the good side to that is that nothing will be held against us in terms of not meeting. I mean, nothing would have been held against us anyway. That's not the right phrasing, but basically, according to the state, the fiscal year for reporting purposes stopped March 13th. So anything that didn't happen after March 13th won't affect our state aid. That's a much better way of saying that. But it would have been nice to see what could have happened. As you know, I mean, I think you all know that by now, I'm very driven by numbers. So that's why it's bittersweet to me, because it's so close yet so far. So we'll see what happens once we're back to normal. Program attendance was very similar. I think we would have come very close to or exceeded FY19's program attendance numbers across the board also, because we were only a few hundred off in terms of total attendance throughout the three age groups of adult, young adult, and children's. So it was still nice to see, though, that we were so on track. But it was also nice to just get it done. So that's one last thing to think about, is having to work on that report. So next up will be the financial report, and that's due mid-October this year. And so I will start working on that soon, because that's something else I'd just like to get off my plate before the fall gets here, which is, it's coming pretty quick.
It is.
In terms of the monthly statistics, I finally compiled all of those and sent them to you, so you have the FY20 March through June, or excuse me, yeah, March through June for FY20, and then the FY21 July statistics with the comparisons, so that you can see how we were doing, you know, from year to year. So it'll be interesting as we build back up, you know, to see how, I don't know what the right way to phrase that is, how long it takes us to build back up. I mean, last July was our highest circulating month ever in the whole library's history. So it kind of hurts to see that have dropped so much, but there's, you know, we're doing the best that we can with the takeout, and you know, it's totally expected that the numbers will be a lot less than what they have been. So if you have any specific questions about that for me, feel free, or any clarifications. I know it's a lot of numbers to look at. I think one cool thing I should, I guess, mention is the large increase in ebook and e-audio usage, which you can see from the reports. I mean, we've, you know, it's like 100, I forget what the ebook rise is, but it's like 120% maybe increase. It's a really large increase in ebook usage. I thought the e-audio would be a little bit higher. It's still higher, but I thought it would be a little bit higher since there was such a large jump in the ebook usage itself. And we've also had an increased usage in Hoopla, which is nice to see too.
That makes sense, seeing as
Yeah,
people
oh,
couldn't get
totally.
there, so that
Yeah.
definitely makes sense. I mean, at least people are able to find something else to do and a way to get their books. So that's
Right.
That's good. Plus, I like the reader is really easy to use. Overdrive, Hoopla, very easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely.
it is. And it's nice to see that people are taking advantage of those. And we are still adding to those collections as much as we can. or even more than we normally would, so that especially with people who are requesting items, so that we can meet those specific needs.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's see. The next thing we have is the director's report.
So I just wanted to highlight a few things that I had mentioned. Our summer reading program is over now. We had challenged the community to read 30,000 minutes, as you know, and then they were doing such a great job. We bumped that number to 40,000 minutes using Beanstack, and they read over 40,000 minutes, which was really cool to see. We've now, I didn't mention this in my director's report, but we've decided to keep it going since we have the software Beanstack. We've decided to just keep the challenge going, and we've raised the community reading goal to 100,000 minutes by the end of the calendar year. The reason why we chose 100,000 minutes is because it's the 100th anniversary of this building, which we had planned a big celebration for that this year that unfortunately we didn't end up getting to do. Maybe at some other point we can, but that's why we went with the 100,000 minutes. So we'll be releasing more information about that soon. We have let the people who were participating with Beanstack know about it, that it's continuing. And it's nice to see we've gotten a few more people registered over the past 2 weeks, and people are still logging minutes. So it's a fun tool to use. And it's nice to see adults using it as well as kids. So we'll just see if we can't get to that 100,000 by the end of the year. And I'm hoping we can talk our friends group into there being a prize also at the end. So if we reach that goal. So more to come on that. But in terms of summer reading, they met the 40,000 minutes goal. I think that for what it was, the program ended up being a lot of fun. Like, kids who still wanted to do the Read and Bead program were able to do it. We were giving out about 50 bead packets a week. We still have people coming to the takeout window if they missed a week of beads. So we're still technically handing those out. So if you're watching this and you didn't get your beads, you can still come and pick up some beads. This week we'll be randomly selecting 10 people who participated, and they'll each receive a $10 gift card to a local business, and that's courtesy of the Friends of the Library. So we're still working on contacting people for that. And the weekly crafts were such a big success this summer. We are continuing to offer them weekly through the end of this month. So we have 2 more after this week, and then we will offer a monthly craft starting in September. So Bethany and the staff have really done a great job of that, and we appreciate that so many people have stopped by to pick up a craft bag, and they seem to really be enjoying those. The other quick update I just wanted to give, I mentioned in my director's report about the window in the main area that fell out in the beginning of August. For Haven Lumber, did come right away the following day to check the measurements for a replacement window. And they said at the time it could take a few weeks to replace the window, and we're still waiting. I did follow up with them today, but I haven't heard back yet. Because at this point we wouldn't be able to reopen the building the way the window is, because there are a lot of shards of glass within the window. They put the window back up when they sealed it off, and there's just glass sticking out all over the place. So we really wouldn't want to have anyone in the building public-wise until we get that fixed. So hopefully by the next time we meet, that will be replaced. And I also gave you in my director's report an overview of our remote work. Just to give you an idea of the things that we were doing while we were working remotely. I think, it was amazing how many webinars were offered for free through the network and through collaborations the network made. And then also through the American Library Association, Public Library Association. If we had had to pay for those, there's no way we could have spent 422 hours in webinar sessions that have actually proven to be really useful in our day-to-day work. And I think that, you know, the staff really enjoyed the professional development aspect of that, because that's something there isn't usually a lot of time for. So that was obviously our biggest chunk of time spent was in webinars, but you know, as you can see, we also spent an awful lot of time, 250 hours reviewing material for purchase and ordering digital titles, reviewing the collection through reports. That I think I'd mentioned that to you before, when I realized that I could be running reports and the staff could be viewing them through Google Sheets remotely and editing them, and we could sort of be communicating with each other through these, you know, through Google Sheets. That was like, I don't know, it opened up a whole new way of working from home for the staff that were doing it. So, and then it was a huge help to me when I was in the building to use those reports for physically working with the collection. But yeah, that's, oh, and then I mentioned at the very end, we're still having those issues with our staff computers since the Windows 10 upgrade, which is almost a year ago. And on the one hand, you get used to it and you just sort of wait for it to work itself out. And it really only takes a couple seconds, but sometimes it can take a couple minutes, or sometimes the computer just shuts down completely and you're in the middle of doing something, and that's been not fun. So we're fortunate that Elizabeth is such a tech savvy person, and she's been trying out a few things over the past week and a half to see if, I don't know, they're sort of like the Hail Mary parts, like, okay, like it's either this is gonna work or we gotta scrap the whole thing. So she's testing out a few more options. I'm gonna have her do the same thing that she did on one of the staff PCs to my PC, and then we're gonna test it out on some other PCs, and if that can get us through, then we won't have to discuss purchasing new staff computers. But if it doesn't work, then I'll be coming back sometime this fall to talk about some new staff computers. Because we aren't having those issues with the public computers that were actually replaced versus being upgraded to Windows 10. They were just replaced completely. So it seemed like a great idea to upgrade ours, but there's an issue with, seems to be primarily with Chrome or any Google product on a different browser. So since we use Gmail and now we've become so adapted to, I mean, the whole takeout program is, you know, we use Google Sheets for that. So we're using Google products on other browsers and we're still running into issues. So we'll see. So stay tuned. But unless you have any questions for me about the report, which I'm happy if you do, but if not, that's okay too.
Anybody have anything? I think that was a great job breaking down all those hours.
Just something to give you an idea of what we were doing.
Well, it's good to kind of see, like, you know, when you add them all up, you probably really didn't even know that you spent that many hours doing all those individual
right
things. Like that's,
yeah, it was great that the staff was filling out a weekly report. So they were doing a daily report, but then also a weekly, you know, snapshot of hours spent. So exactly right, I hadn't tabulated that. So when you see it on one person's, you know, sheet who works 19 hours a week, it doesn't seem like much, but when you combine, you know, everyone together, it's like, wow, that's a lot of time.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it. That's all we have for this week, or this
Great.
month, I should say.
Mm.
Do we want to set the time for the next meeting?
Yes, and I'm actually hoping that we could meet a little bit sooner versus, I know we've been going like a month out, but I'm hoping that just because there seems to be a lot happening in terms of discussing reopening options. So I'd rather it be maybe 2 weeks from now versus 4 weeks. So I'm hoping that you're all available perhaps Tuesday, September 8th.
Does that work
I
for
should be.
everyone?
Yeah, I should be.
Diane, does that
Works for
work for
me.
you?
Yep.
How about Jerry?
I have an appointment, but I think it's in the morning.
Okay.
Okay,
Can we go like 12:30 instead of 12?
I can do 12:30. Is that 12:30 work for everyone else?
That works for me.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Great.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll do Tuesday, September 8th at 12:30.
Great, thank you. And I'll make sure I follow up with Nancy so that she knows.
Via Zoom still.
Yes, via Zoom still. And I'll make sure I have the packet ready for you for that Friday before the long weekend.
Perfect. That sounds good.
Okay.
All right, if we don't have anything else, we need a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, this August 25th, 2020 meeting of the Acushnet Public Library Board of Trustees is officially adjourned. It is 12:30. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.